How about we call the meeting to order, and you want to do the roll call for me, please?
Will do, Chair. All right, Robert Hannon,
I'm here.
Robert Eisner,
Here.
Rich Berlandi,
Here.
David Fox,
Here.
Neil Kelsey,
Here.
Mark Simpson, Ned Mark. I thought he was there. Mark, hold on. Gotten some chats. Maybe that's Mark. Can you unmute me? Oh, 1 second. Let me get him in here. Was that him? Yep. Hold on, Mark. Working on it. No. I can't promote you. Mark, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. You're gonna have to stay as an attendee. I can't promote you unless you're in there. Wait.
He's usually called.
Yeah, hold on.
he's-
Maybe you're still in there. Oh, you're good. Okay. Mark Simpson
Yes. I'm
here.
here.
Ned Stachin. Robert Canto.
Here.
And Emily Brick. All right, Chair, it's all yours.
Okay, start off with the continuation of the public hearing, Bulwark LLC, lots 8120 and 8122 Colt Highway.
All right, the applicant is on board here.
I believe they are.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to start off our presentation this evening. This is Robin Pearson. I'm an attorney with the firm of Alter and Pearson in Glastonbury, Connecticut, and represent the applicant. I know that with me tonight is David Ziyax, who is Hesketh and Associates and has been really the lead person on this application. I do believe, because we were expecting him, though I can't quite tell from the screen, that Anthony Zemba is with us.
He is here.
He's here, good.
Yes,
He's
he
a
is.
certified soil scientist and an ecologist with Land Tech, and did the original reporting that was filed with the commission, and is here this evening to provide testimony on the revised plans. Also here, I believe, is Matt Morris on behalf of the applicant. He's not part of the presentation, but I did just want to mention that I understand that he is with us this evening. So this is the third session of our public hearing review. At the last session, our second night of hearing on September 7th, you received a comprehensive presentation by Dave Ziyax, and he went through a number of changes that had been made to the plans, primarily to increase the distance at the pinch points that exist on the plan that was the current plan before you that night, to increase the distance from the wetland boundary to either the foundation walls or retaining walls that are necessary to complete this project. And he also went over some other more peripheral issues, such as showing where we had now located snow storage. He noted that there had been a reduction in the amount of impervious to 37.5% from 39.1%. And he added additional information. This is not a complete synopsis of the changes that were made, but of import, I think, is that there was a change in inclusion of pollinator plants in the wetland mitigation area along the driveway at the point of the wetland crossing. With us that evening was Tom Ryder. He is a senior environmental scientist with Land Tech. And I just want to remind you that he did testify that evening that he concurred with the conclusions of the Land Tech wetland report that had been submitted with the application, which had been prepared by Anthony Zemba. Anthony couldn't be there on the 7th. He also confirmed, though, that based on his review of the revised plans that were before you this evening, he did not see that there would be any negative impact to the wetlands. if the development were to be constructed as proposed on the plans. However, the commission still had some additional information they were seeking from us, and they still had some concerns, which I think broadly I could characterize as being whether or not the narrow width of the crossing was acceptable and worthy of approval, and also whether the size of the building footprint in relationship to the wetlands might be able to be reduced in order to further increase the separation distance from the wetland area. They also explored whether or not we could do a conservation easement. So I'm going to turn it over now to Dave Ziyax to go through the plan revisions that have been made. And hopefully we've reached a point where you can find this application worthy of approval. David?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm Dave Ziyax. I'm a professional engineer with F.A. Hesketh Associates. We're located over in East Granby. And since our last meeting, as Robin has been pointing out, we've been taking a look at some of the comments, recommendations from the commission from the last meeting. And one of the things we did do is we've been working with our local precast suppliers for the culvert crossing. And one of them will be able to produce a open bottom culvert for us that will allow us to go to a 12-foot span from our 8-foot span that we currently have. So we were successful in that, and we were proposing that on the plans at this time. I just want to point out to the commission that the design of this crossing easily meets the design criteria of what the Army Corps of Engineers will expect from us for a general permit. And it also complies with the Connecticut DEEP's stream crossing best management practices. That's found in Appendix G in the DEP's regulations and design guidelines for these types of stream crossings. So we'll easily be able to meet that criteria. We took a look at, one of the commission members asked us to take a look over in the west end, the units that were closest to the wetlands, whether or not we could reduce those sizes to help out with some setback. And we are proposing to reduce 3 more units there so that they match the smaller unit at the that we had at the end. And that will increase our minimum setback from 30 to 32 feet over in that corner from where it was with the previous iteration of the plans. And then, as Robin pointed out, we took a look at providing a conservation easement. This is being shown with the green line. It's basically 5 feet in front of our outside perimeter of our development. And that would result in the establishment of a conservation easement of 1.84 acres, which would be out of the 4.99 acres of the total site. And what's really good about this conservation easement is that it will directly abut and extend the town open space that's right to the north of us. That's about 70 acres of land. So that open space combination conservation area will come into our property. And really what that does is, the purpose of that is that that ensures the commission that there won't be any future development on the remaining part of the land, or any attempt to nibble further closer to the wetlands than what is shown on our plans this evening. So that's really the, in addition to expanding the town open space, it also pretty much seals this property off from any future development. There was an outstanding comment from the town engineering department, and that we were able to make some design modifications to the drainage system so that we capture and infiltrate the first 1 inch of runoff draining to those systems. That's an added design feature and brings us pretty much in compliance with the MS4 guidelines that the town is now operating in under its general permit with the Connecticut DEP. So in general, we've made some several changes to the plans to increase the setback, as Robin pointed out. We've added those 2 small mitigation areas between the Route 6 corridor and our southern retaining wall there to help mitigate the crossing. We have increased the culvert size. We originally started at 36 inches, and now we have the 12-foot span. We started out with the extensive use of retaining walls to minimize our encroachment into the footprint. I think we've been very effective in that. And again, these retaining walls are not particularly tall. They're in the order of about maximum height of about 7 feet, 6 to 7 feet. And that's only in certain areas. Lots of the retaining wall is less than that in height. We have proposed an extensive mitigation planting plan. Basically, I see those planting plans where they're, in this case, we're pretty much located along the face of the walls. I see that as sort of a jump start on what Mother Nature will eventually do within a season or two, which is all the vegetation will creep back right up to the face of our wall of our, of our proposed walls, and it will become very quiet and sleepy on the other side of the wall on this project, as it does on all these types of projects that we construct. The drainage system that we're proposing ensures that there'll be no impact with our drainage discharges. We spent a lot of time reviewing that together. And again, our proposed conservation easement ensures no more encroachment on this property towards the wetlands. So at this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions. If you have any questions for Anthony or myself, we'll be happy to answer those.
Okay. Thank you. Rich, I'll start with you.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Bobby,
Not at this time.
Dave,
No questions.
Robert,
A question for the town staff. Are all the engineering and planning office comments addressed?
With regards to the wetlands, there are some outstanding comments. Those are just for like the TPZ zoning application for future. So
Thank you, Bruce. That's it for me.
thank you. Neil,
No questions.
okay. Mark,
Yes, I just want to verify those 3 extra units that you made them smaller. The difference is now 32 to 30 feet. Is that what I heard?
No, the units over on that westerly side, they were reduced from being 30 feet deep to 20 feet deep. But what that does is that increases the distance from the units to the flag wetlands, 30 and 32 feet.
Yes.
I think you can see it in the labeling there. It's a little tough to see Zoom.
Yep, I see it now. Yep.
Mhm.
That's much better. All right, I can see it much better now. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you.
was that it, Mark?
That's it. No other further questions.
I have one question, sort of an off-the-wall question, and it's hopefully a simple yes or no, but when you were laying out the design, it looks as though the portion on the east side of the property is like 19,000 square feet per floor. Is that correct? Or a little over 19,000? Okay, 19,800 square feet.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, was any thought put in about maybe going 4 stories high and not having to cross the wetlands at all to get actually a little bit more storage out of the area?
There's been some talk about going to 4 stories, but the issue with that is we have a 40-foot height restriction in the zone.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up with, less desirable storage facilities for the tenants in that they're, the height limitations at 4 stories versus 3 stories.
No, I just thought I'd ask because again, that, could have been a good mitigation measure of not even having to cross the wetlands. So I just figured I'd ask to get it on the record. So thank you for that. I do not have any other questions. Bruce, is there anybody from the public here?
let me check, sir. No, I don't have anyone from the public. But if
Okay.
anybody else, if there's anyone else would like to speak, just raise your hand. Nope, I don't see anything.
Okay, so I guess the question that I have or Attorney Pearson or anybody else on this group, do they have anything else they want to add, summarize?
Well, I would just like to point out it, maybe Dave could elaborate a little bit more on that. He did put the information in his response to the town with the revised plans, but we did look even more closely at the wetland crossing is the only direct impact for wetland disturbance with this application. And he did look at, again, the possibility of making two separate driveways and not having that crossing. But his information again underscores that working with the traffic consultant within FA Hesketh, that it is really not feasible from a safety standpoint. And he was able to increase the width of the conduit to be able to make it, a better situation with regard to impacts, which again, once it's built, it'll be there, but the impacts will truly be temporary, and they're also tempered by the mitigation that's proposed. So I just wanted to reiterate that for the record. And I don't know if, Anthony, is there anything that you would like to say based on this revised plan? Assuming Anthony's here.
Yeah, I'm here and I have nothing to add. I was under, it was my opinion that the original plan would not result in any significant adverse impact to begin with. And I think that the modifications that Hesketh have made in deference to the concerns of the commission are positive changes and makes it even better.
Okay. David, anything else?
No, I have nothing more.
That's it, Mr. Chairman. So,
Well, based on, I think all the commissioners have raised any questions or comments they may have had, and you've summarized, and there's nobody here from the public, I think we can probably go ahead and close the hearing. So, Bruce, I don't need a motion for that, do I?
Yes, yes, you
Okay.
do. No?
Chair can close.
No, oh, the chair, sorry.
Yeah.
The boss says I can close, so.
The chair can close it.
Yeah. I thought that's what we could do, but I
Yeah.
figured so. But again, we've opened it up to the public. There's nobody here. I think the applicants made their comments and commission members have commented today too. So I think we can go ahead and close it.
Mhm.
So we will go ahead and close it. And we are done with the public portion, or the public hearing portion of the meeting. So thank you though for your participation in this and your information. New business, Town of Farmington to Vine Hill Road.
Oh, so you don't, do you want to, so you don't want to discuss anything about that application then?
In all honesty, I haven't really looked at it much in the last couple of weeks. I've been a little preoccupied with some family matters. So,
Okay,
I mean, we can talk to other members if they have any idea how they feel about it, or now that all the information has been presented, we've got the last modified plan. I mean, I didn't have a chance to really look at it except for maybe about 5 minutes before the meeting.
okay.
So I know that I'm not really ready to do anything. I mean, there's been a lot presented and I want to think about it. I mean, I don't know, do other commission members have any other feeling on it? Folks ready? Do you want, you looking at maybe, thinking about it and trying to come up with a thought process for the next meeting?
Yeah, the only reason I bring it up is just because to type up a resolution, I'd like to at least get some ideas of where we should be going with this. So we can try to, so like for the next meeting, I'll have something and then we can just add to it very easily.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be the best bet. I know you've heard a lot of comments from commissioners, you heard responses from the applicant. So I think everybody has a pretty good handle of where we currently stand, especially with some of the modifications that have been proposed. So again, like I said, I'm really not ready. I haven't really thought about it. But if other
All right.
people have a different opinion, I'm ready to go. Robert, you have a question, comment?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I was going to add that I too would like some additional time. I wanted to see what additional discussion occurred in the hearing. And then just a reminder to all the commission members that at this point, moving forward, we can only base our discussion and consideration on things that came in through the hearing. We cannot bring in any new information.
Absolutely correct.
All right, then I guess if anyone else has any questions or comments, would like to forward anything over to me, feel free to, and I'll be able to start drafting up those resolutions. All right, and then I'll definitely share those draft with the commissioners as well as the applicant.
And Mr. Chair, this is Mark. I think it'd be good to delay so Ned can participate in the final decision.
Yeah, Sandy, will you be able to get out a CD to Ned so that he can listen to everything that was discussed at the meeting tonight?
Yeah, I can share the link of the recording with him.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Okay.
Okay, so we know where we are here.
Okay,
Okay,
go on to the next one.
Good evening, Chairman and Commission members. This is the Town of Farmington 2 Vine Hill Road project. This is the original plan presented at the September 7th meeting. As you may recall,
Can you state your name for the record, please?
my name is Dylan Riley.
Okay, thank you.
As you may recall, this is a rather small project consisting of the installation of 2 catch basins and an outfall lined with riprap on the 2 Vine Hill side of the road. The purpose of this project is to alleviate some of the runoff from the road that is causing erosion on both sides where the catch basin and leak off is. The leak off for the pond side is located directly under the catch basin, and the catch basin on the other side of the road is moved slightly upward due to the factor that we didn't want to cover the overflow pipe for the pond in the event that it needs to be repaired or worked on in the future. So the remaining leak off will stay, and that's pretty much it from the old plan. Bruce, if you could go to the new plan. Here's the revised plan. During the last meeting, the commission members asked a series of questions, one of which was moving the riprap off of the pipe and creating a more free zone above the pipe that we are trying to avoid in the first place. So that comment has been addressed and taken care of. And another comment was to add an additional catch basin on the other side of the pipe, of the overflow pipe for the pond, to help alleviate some of the water from that leak off, to help mitigate some erosion. Unfortunately, we're not able to do that at this time, but we did extend the riprap all the way to the leak off to help mitigate that issue. And the third comment made by the commission members was to adjust the road geometry to make the low point the catch basin on the 2 Vine Hill Road side. That comment, the town answers with, when we repave that road, that is absolutely going to be our goal, to make those adjustments in the road geometry. and remove that last leak off. But as of now, from a feasibility standpoint, we don't really see that happening, just with the time constraints that we have with our end of season work. That's all I
Is that
have.
Dylan?
Yep, that's it.
All right, so Mark, I'll start with you. Any questions, comments, concerns?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. Neil?
Nothing from me, thanks.
Robert?
No questions or comments.
Dave?
No questions or concerns.
Okay. Bobby?
No problems, no questions, comments.
Rich?
No questions.
Okay, I've got a question just for clarification purposes, to make sure I understand what you're saying. So the intent right now is to put in the catch basin above the leak off period or the leak off area. But when you go back and repave the road, you'll end up repaving it so that the catch basin will be at the low point. And then I'm assuming curbing will go in where that leak off area is right now.
That is correct.
Okay.
Future project, but that is correct.
Okay, no, that was my question. So thank you. Just want to make sure that I heard you correctly.
Yep.
That's it. So I didn't hear any issues with anybody. We accepted the application on September 7th. I think we're pretty clear of what's going on. Would somebody care to make a motion to approve this application?
Determination.
Oh, sorry, I didn't get to that part.
Oh.
We have a determination first?
Oh, of significance?
Yep.
Okay, can I get, my take is it's non-significant. So I'm assuming others feel the same way, but we'll go through the list. Rich?
Yeah, I would agree on not significant.
Okay. Bobby?
Not significant.
Dave?
Significant.
Robert?
Non-significant regulated activity.
Neil?
I agree.
Mark?
Not significant.
Okay, so first then, can I get a motion that this is a non-significant activity?
This is
So
Rich,
moved,
so
Mark.
moved. Second, Rich.
Okay, have a motion.
was the first one?
I'm sorry, what?
That'd
Who
be
made
Mark.
the, Mark? Okay,
Mark would be the first.
thank you.
I have a motion on the floor that this is a non-significant activity. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining. Okay, so now can I get a motion to approve the application as modified?
I'll make the motion to approve as modified.
Is there a second?
Dave will second.
By the way, Bobby is sitting in for Ned.
As soon as Bob voted, I said the same thing. I said, oh.
Just in case you were wondering.
Oh.
No, I tried to pay attention, but so I have a motion on the floor to approve the application as modified, plans currently before us. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining. Okay, here's to getting it done before the winter.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck. Bruce and Suzanne Polsky, 30 Hatters Lane.
Suzanne, talked to her this morning, or
She's there.
are you still here, Suzanne? She said her contractor may not be able to talk till like 8:15.
No, I am
So-
here, but I think Kent is on the Zoom also now.
Is he? I don't oh, there he is. Kent, are you there?
Maybe
Kent.
he's muted.
He's
Maybe
muted.
he's muted.
Okay,
He just you start loading them in. Give him a few seconds. I gotta load it in.
Okay.
Ken, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect. All right. Go ahead, Suzanne.
So I'm Suzanne Polsky. My husband and I have owned the property for 18 years. We have tried to be good stewards of the creek, but at this point, we just need larger work to contain the erosion that's taken place. Right now, it is currently dry, the creek. I don't know what questions you might have. Hopefully I can answer them, and Kent is here to fill in the details.
If you don't mind, let me just jump in on a couple of these. There's an existing pipe that comes under Hatter's Lane. It's a storm bud drainage pipe. It picks up Colton Street and the mountain up to the north, flows along their side of their property line, comes around the back of the yard, and then dips down and runs through the houses on Dorset Lane and eventually empties into the pond on Dorset Lane. I also have some pictures, I think, that were included as part of it. This is along the back here. As you can see, this is where it cuts out and heads out down towards Dorset Lane. I think it takes a right, Suzanne, right, and goes right behind the house there.
That's correct.
Here's location of their pool against the swale is right here. And you can see the swale comes along the side here and cups around, comes back down through here.
Right.
So,
I think there's another photo that shows the corner.
yeah, you've got some areas where the stones have fallen into the swale over time, larger stones, a lot of overgrowth brush. Here's where it comes around the corner. You can see where it's eating away.
Yes.
At the embankment, the erosion. Ken, is there anything that you could add to how you plan on doing this? And
that sums it up pretty well. Basically, our plan is while the creek is dried to go in and clean a lot of the silt out and rebuild the banks with some riprap.
You see that screen?
Yes.
All right. So I think the intention is to put the 6 inches of riprap or 6-inch size riprap.
6-inch size riprap. It's basically 6-inch diameter riprap.
And then how thick will it be?
It'll be a layer or two thick, approximately.
Okay. So like 6 to 12 inches thick on the
Exactly.
bottom and on the sides. And then on the pool side, you're just going to be resetting all those stones.
Exactly. Except this time we're going to put the filter fabric behind them.
The filter fabric, and it'll be on an angle like this, or will you be going vertical?
No, it'll be on
an
angle like that.
Okay. And then the areas where there's no stone, you'll have a riprap on all 3 sides, bottom and sides.
That's correct.
So I think these stones are like only by the pool, right?
That is correct.
And then after that, it'll just be riprap. But if I go back to the plan, it'll be like natural stone in here on the upper hillside. As you get past there, both sides will be riprap all the way up through here.
That's correct.
And where are you guys going to stop?
On which side?
Up in here. Let me switch over to the photos. So you'll come around the corner.
Yep.
Go up here, and are you starting around here somewhere?
A little bit farther up. A little bit closer up near the house.
Oh,
Yeah, right
here.
A little further up from there. Yeah.
Yeah, about in the middle of their house, just past that pine tree that you see there.
Suzanne and Ken, any idea what you can tell the commission about the flow through there, the frequency?
Well, when we get heavy rains, it does come down quite fast. It's about 3 feet to 4 feet deep, the actual creek. So we get a good 6 inches or 8 inches, but a fast flow. When there's light rain, it just trickles. But the heavy rains are what we're more concerned about, and we're getting heavier rains all the time. So it's become a concern.
Trying to determine the construction time. When is it actually flowing now?
No, I went and checked before.
So it is all dry. So Ken, when would you plan on doing this work?
It would depend on how this hearing went, but we plan on doing it during this time frame. We actually were trying to shoot for last month to do it when it was really dry. And when I spoke with Bruce out there, that if water did start to come up while we were in the middle of construction, we would just sandbag one end and pump the water around our work area.
Okay.
Like, if we start to get some heavy rains before we can complete the job, it's about a week's worth of work.
Okay. And I told Suzanne that unfortunately, this is a 2-meeting process per the state statutes. We can't vote on the application on the first day. We have to just accept the application, and then they'll have to vote at the next meeting. So
we would just have to monitor the weather. If the stream stays dry, we would jump in there and take advantage of that. If it started to get wet, we'd have to push it till next summer.
all right.
Yeah.
And is there anything you could do on the downhill side during construction for like erosion control?
It probably wouldn't be worth trying to bring all that machinery into the backyard because we have to take fences down and stuff of that nature.
No, I'm sorry. I mean at the base of your the construction, like where you're gonna start down in here, like throwing some hay bales or maybe a silt sock or something just to keep hold back some of that silt, any kind of silt during a light rain or something.
Yeah, we definitely could have hay bales filtering it through, or like I said, if there's even a light rain and it started to flow at all, we would just set up a pump and reroute it around us.
Okay.
We want it to stay as dry as possible because it's much easier to place the stones and the fabric on the bottom when you have a dry bed.
All right.
I have a question for you, Kent. I just want to make sure that I understood what you're saying. And that is that you would possibly use sandbags or something like that at the starting point so that if the rain came, you'd be able to pump around the area you wanted to work to try and keep that dry.
Correct. We would make a little sandbag dam to make sure that the water doesn't flow down the stream, suck it up with whatever size pump we need, and just pump the pipe right around us.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. That's all.
Yep.
So thank you. Yep.
We do this quite often. We rebuild streams, it's much larger pumps. That's all.
Okay. Anything else to add?
No, I think it's a relatively simple project that needs to be done because the erosion is getting pretty bad, especially in that corner.
Okay. All right, Rich, I'll start with you. Questions, comments?
No, excuse me. No, it definitely looks like a project that needs to be tackled before it gets worse. My only question is, had you given any consideration to maybe perhaps creating some depressions along the way? Lowering a section of the riprap so that you get little stilling basins for the critters to take hold.
We can certainly do that. That's not hard to do. You just make it one spot a little bit lower and build it up a little higher. Just it dries out pretty well during the dry season. So there won't be any standing water or pools.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Bobby?
Just so I'm understanding correctly, so it's pretty dry now, but when it rains, you get 3 to 4 feet of water in there?
No. We only get like six. The creek itself is 3 to 4 feet deep. We only get 6 inches to 8 inches of water. Yeah.
Okay, now that makes it a little better. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of water.
No. It never overflows.
Okay.
The edge. No.
Ken, how are you planning on performing work? Is it going to be machine?
Yeah, we have some mini excavators, some John Deere 35s, the rubber track machines, and basically shape the stream with that and bring the rocks back with a skid steer and place them. It has a grapple on the bucket and we just place rocks.
And then you're just going to dispose of all the debris and all the silt?
The silt we're going to try to use behind some of the silt that we're going to take out of there. We're going to reuse most of it to rebuild her banks behind the rocks. Like the pictures really don't do some of that corner justice. There's a lot of soil that's flowed out of there.
Okay. All right. Good luck.
Yeah.
Is that it, Bobby?
That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Dave,
No questions.
Robert,
Just a couple of comments. It's really maintenance work incidental to the use of the residential property, and in the long run, it will, eliminate ongoing erosion. And then a comment for the contractor and the owner, just work and coordinate closely with the town staff. And once the plan is approved, you really can't make substantive change in the field. That would have to come back through the town staff. But as long as you work with the town staff, it should be all set. End of comments.
Robert, Neil,
No comments from me.
Mark,
No questions.
Robert, I just want to make sure I understood you correctly. Were you thinking that this was an activity that would be allowed by right?
No, it's
Okay.
maintenance activity that's incidental to the use of the residential property, but very clearly a regulated activity given
Okay.
the amount of work in the waterway.
I just wanted to make sure that I understood you correctly, so thank you. 'Cause, yeah, and I agree. I mean, the question that I have is with a lot of the brush that's growing up in there, is a lot of that stuff coming out, and how, if so, how would that be taken out?
Yeah, a lot of that brush that's overgrown into the stream that you can't even see it in some areas, we would cut it out or cut it with loppers and basically just hand carry it out of there.
So you're not planning on taking it out by the roots, that type of thing?
In some areas where it's grown in between the rocks and that area that we have to,
Okay.
we would have to do in some areas, but most of that farther downstream, we would not.
Yeah, because then I think, we'd also need to see some type of erosion control measures installed at least at the downstream point, so that we can control any type of erosion that might be getting in there, while either the rocks, or if there's any type of seeding. Now, would there be any seeding, or is it all the rock and riprap that's going in?
It's all rock and riprap that's going to be on all, we're going to armor all the sides of the stream that are of concern. And right up until where it discharges, we're going to leave all the growth that's in there, and it would discharge right into that growth back where it is now. So there really won't be any or disturbed soil that's vulnerable when we're done.
Okay, yeah, I think you're probably going to need to work with town staff, in terms of some erosion control measures at sort of the downstream side of the work area, just to make sure that, like, if you're doing some work and somehow or another we get some water in there and there's any erosion there, we can at least stop it before it goes further downstream. So, but that's something I think can be worked out with staff.
Yep.
So I don't think anybody else has any other questions, do you? If so, please raise them now. No. So Bruce, do we need to do significance on this one?
Yeah, we need to accept it, determine a significance, and then we'll hold off the vote till next meeting.
I'll kind of back up what Robert was saying. I don't think it's a significant activity. So I would say non-significant, and it's some maintenance associated with the property. So I would go that way. But Rich?
Yeah, I would agree. And not significant regulated activity.
Bobby?
Concur.
Dave?
I also agree.
Robert?
Agree, non-significant regulated activity.
Neil?
I agree.
Mark?
I agree.
Okay, so everybody seems to think this is a non-significant activity. So can I get a motion signifying that this is a non-significant regulated activity?
What they say?
So move, Mark.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Abstaining? And then have a motion to accept the application.
So moved, Rich.
Is there a second?
Second by Eisner.
Have a motion on the floor to accept the application. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? So be it. So we'll schedule this for the next meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 3, 80 South Road LLC and Sager Development LLC. And I'm assuming, Bruce, you haven't changed the agenda on me this week?
No. God, wow.
I'm just checking.
Little bitter, little,
I'm just checking. I wanted to make sure I was reading from the right document.
Oh, wrong one. Where did it go? Jeez, what? Hold on. Supposed to be the
He
other
didn't
one.
change it, but he's giving you the wrong document.
No, I did.
Whatever.
I moved the one up. Yeah, but it's the other one they sent me.
We're all friends here, you know.
Second. We're going on the presentation thing, 22. Oh, here it is right here. No. Where'd it go? This is the 3. Oh, God. Hold on one second. For some reason I got the wrong one in there.
Yeah, Bruce, this is Tim Hollister. That's part 2 of it, but you should have 8 slides in total.
Yeah, he left.
Bruce, if you can't find it, we can work with this one.
He's not in the room.
We also can resend it through.
I'm sure he's got it.
I apologize to the applicant and the commission. Thought I had them all in there. And I got the old one in there by mistake. Here we go. Sorry about that.
Very good. Mr. Chairman, I'm ready when you are.
Go ahead.
Great. Thank you. Good evening, Chair Hannan, commission members, town staff. I'm Attorney Tim Hollister, representing the applicant. With me tonight are Phoebe Sager, who is the principal of 80 South Road LLC. And then our consultants are Megan Raymond from SLR Consulting and Jeff Board, professional engineer from Bowler Engineering. With your okay, we have a brief preliminary presentation, and I want to thank Mr. Sear for his help in getting this booted up. The property is along South Road on the south side, 2.9 acres in total, 3 parcels, as you can see on the screen. The proposed development, which we'll show you in a moment, is 65 apartments in 2 buildings. I think some of you will remember, you've seen this site before. In 2018, the western half, which is shown as 8864, was the proposed site of a restaurant called Andy's Italian Kitchen. And that was on the western parcel, and that was given approval by this commission, no significant impact, but of course that development did not go forward. So what we'd like to do is first have Megan Raymond describe her evaluation of the site's wetland and her evaluation, and then have Jeff present the proposed site plan, and then we'll walk you through our review of the criteria, 7 criteria as to whether there is a significant impact, and make our case for there being no impact. So Megan, go ahead, please. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Tim. Good evening. For the record, my name is Megan Raymond. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you good.
Great. So I'm a professional wetland scientist, registered soil scientist, certified floodplain manager at SLR Consulting, 195 Church Street in New Haven. I'm a principal scientist there and the lead of wetlands and waterways. This is a parcel that I became involved with in December of 2020, flagging wetlands out on 880. Well, actually, I started earlier on 8864 with Andy's Italian Kitchen back in late 2017 and early 18 with the wetland delineation on just that parcel, and was involved in the permitting process through your local commission at that time. Then the study expanded in 2020, late 2020, to encapsulate the parcel to the east, which was 8880 South Road. And then later on in the last year, 64 South Road, or 62 rather, South Road was added to the compendium of sites. Working down the parcels from west to east, we have 62 South Road, which had an existing single family dwelling on the parcel. That's about 0.62 acres. 8864 South Road is 1.09 acres. And then moving to the east, we have 8880, and that's 1.41 acres. So in total, 2.92 in all.
Megan, let me interrupt for just a sec. I believe the house at 62 South Road has already been demolished.
Yeah, I thought I said had. Sorry if I didn't say have, but thank you for pointing that out, Tim. So obviously we have a very long linear piece. It's about 1,400 linear feet of frontage on South Road, and in depth that it's a little bit over 100 feet, 100 feet wide. There's been various degrees of development. The 8864 piece, the central piece, does have an old foundation there. There was some previous activity on that site at one point. If you look back through aerials, it was cleared. It's sort of in the upland. It's early successional woodland. And there is a wetland on that piece in the eastern portion of 8864. There's a forested depression underlain by Wilbraham silt loam soils. It's an area that is fed by some groundwater discharge as well as stormwater runoff. There is an embankment to the 84 connector that does shed some water seasonally onto the site from the south. That wetland area does have some seasonal inundation, which is why we did then expand our study in the spring of 2021 to look for vernal pool activity. And that did come up in the Andy's Italian Kitchen review in terms of the potential for that area to function. But given it's a very shallow hydro period, we don't have a sufficient water column to support as well. As you guys, your experience, you'd see landscape position wise, we don't have the ability to really hydrologically, there's no physical characteristics of vernal pool, but as well, we don't really have a landscape position supporting even a viable population of amphibians here. 62 South Road has no wetlands, no upland review. Again, this small depressional forested wetland on 8864, it occupies about 2,000 square feet, so about 4% of the overall 1 acre site. And then moving on to 8880, we have a drainage corridor on this site that's bounded by ordinary high water. It's about 110 feet that runs through the property from north to south. It exits from twin 36-inch pipes, travels to the south, and then enters twin 36-inch pipes that then carries discharge under the 84 connector through the median in a pipe, and then outlets just south of kind of in the cloverleaf actually of 84 itself. From there, surface water does travel about 0.6 of a mile to outlet into Batterson Park Pond. So that's about a sixth of a mile away. The water course is about 8 feet wide, about 3 feet deep. It's an unconsolidated base with sediment and some stones. There is a degree of riprap at the outlet of the 36-inch twin head walls. Functionally, the primary function of that water course is truly conveyance. It appears to be an engineered feature. It does drain a wetland that exists north of South Road. In between Middle Road and South Road, there's a wetland system that appears to have been channelized over time. So there was some drainage that was conveyed, pushing drainage to the south onto the piece. The banks are quite engineered, very linear, long linear feature. As it presents on the site, no meanders, no structural elements within the water course itself. So we're looking at conveyance primarily for that water course. Moving to the west, to the wetland system on the site, we do have some constraints as it relates functionally to this wetland, just given its small size. There's not an ability really for it to contribute to a significant degree rather to wetland function. However, given where it sits on the site, there is the opportunity for nutrient assimilation, obviously groundwater discharge. We have sediment toxicant retention, again, because it can hold water and store water and assimilate and have some fluctuations with groundwater. We were involved in laying out the site plan, and these observations as it relates to wetland functionality were directly informed some of the site layout. And again, looking at these features, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff in a second. I'm concluding now. Looking at these features, again, this wetland and water course occupy quite small percentages of the overall sites, but upland review areas are the upland review on either parcel of the 8864, 8880 encumber about 40% of those sites. So at that point, that concludes my my overall description of the resources, and I'd like to turn it to Jeff to get into the site plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. For the record, my name is Jeff Board, professional engineer in the state of Connecticut with Bowler Engineering, located at 65 LaSalle Road in West Hartford, Connecticut. What you have here before you, I believe, is just the cover page to our proposed site plan documents. It lists out everything that was in our set of drawings. This is just a black and white version. I think, Bruce, if you go to the next slide, should be the colored version, a couple more.
That one?
I think this one's probably the best talking one here. So what you're seeing here is just a colorized version of our site plan with an existing aerial turned on in the background. We also provided our landscape plan on top of it. So it's the same site plan you have in your packages with a little bit more information provided. For the purposes of my presentation and testimony, north is to the top of page. Proposed development consists of 2 multifamily residential structures on either side of that existing channel. Building A is a 3.5-story, 36-unit structure that resides on the western side of the site with a footprint of approximately 11,350 square feet. Building B on the eastern portion of the site is a 3-story structure with a total of 29 units residing on the eastern side with a footprint of approximately 10,425 square feet. Starting on the west side of the plan for Building A, we do have 2 full access driveways onto South Road where we're proposing 52 parking spaces, 2 of which are handicap accessible adjacent to the building footprint itself. There's also a proposed amenity space to the east of that building that consists of porous concrete. We're currently developing what's going to be in that amenity space, but we took significant care with the existing wetlands being in close proximity to provide some unique landscaping and stormwater features that I'll get into momentarily. We've also provided a sidewalk along the frontage of South Road. We are providing pedestrian connections to the existing sidewalks on the north side of South Road, and basically what that does will connect the last piece of sidewalk that does not have a connection currently. We're extending that all the way to the east in front of the firehouse and then across the street to the sidewalk that was recently installed for the development at the corner there to the east. So this will be basically the last piece of sidewalk connection that connects all these developments in that whole corridor, really. Building B on the east side of the site has 1 full access driveway on the South Road. We're proposing 52 spaces, 2 of which are handicap accessible, similar to Building A in the sense that we have porous concrete that we are proposing on the southerly side of both parking areas. That was an early discussion we had with town staff and incorporating some sort of porous concrete into the stormwater management design. Part of what you see here too is the landscaping. It's a quite robust landscape plan given the wetlands on site. There's a variety of native species, mix of shade trees, ornamental trees, evergreen shrubs, ground covers, ornamental grasses. I think we paid particular attention to the southerly border, basically up against the existing channel that's off site between 84 and our property, and then the eastern and western boundaries in closest proximity to the culvert and the wetlands to provide a New England conservation wildlife seed mix, basically along that perimeter. We had coordinated with town staff, and I believe it was of the opinion that we should be providing them with an invasive species management plan or removal plan, which we are willing to do. Part of what we do as civil engineers is We comply with the 2004 Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual and the MS4 permit that's currently in place. So on a site with this many constraints and wetlands and how narrow it is, we were able to fit quite a bit of natural best management practices, as well as some subsurface practices to basically meet water quality measures, treat that first inch of water quality, reduce peak flow rates for the 210, 25, and 100-year storm events, and basically improve the water quality from what's out there today at a reduced flow rate. Everything right now drains from north to south, and the survey that we had provided, there's an existing channel right between the southerly property line and the I-84 ramp that basically goes down to that culvert. So basically both sites, the building A side on the west flows east, and then the building B side on the east flows west, ultimately getting to that channel. And as Megan has described, that's really a conveyance channel that we look to take care of and match those peak flow rates and also treat water quality at the same time. Another big thing in working with the town in the past has been soil and sediment erosion control. So we have designed the site in accordance to the 2002 Connecticut Soil Erosion and Sediment Control Guidelines. What that means is we have silt fence along the perimeter and down gradient areas. In working with the town in the past, I know that they've requested silt socks, so we've also added silt socks on those low-lying areas from a grading standpoint. So we'll have the redundancy of the silt socks and silt fence in the sensitive areas on the down gradient side. We have inlet filters at all the surrounding catch basins, and then slope stabilization where necessary. And I believe from an engineering standpoint, that's the majority of it. I'd be happy to answer any questions once we get through the significance portion of this with the wetlands piece. And with that, I can turn it over to Megan.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you, Megan Raymond, professional wetland scientist, registered soil scientist with SLR. And when Jeff really did a great job describing just the overall components of the site plan as it relates to potential impacts to wetlands. Obviously, we're not looking at direct activities here. We evaluate indirect wetland activities as it relates to short-term and long-term potential. And having the comprehensive sedimentation and erosion control addresses potential issues or effects to the wetland in the short term. Looking long term, a comprehensive multi-dimensional stormwater management plan will allow for maintenance of hydrology to that small wetland, which is important, as well as maintenance of function overall for both the wetland and the water course. We do have an opportunity to improve some of the road runoff from South Road. We're installing some catch basins and doing some other improvements to overall to provide some benefit water quality wise in this small sub watershed. It's about 0.16 of a square mile that drains to Patterson Park Pond. We did walk through, or in our review, looking at this site and as it relates to potential for significant wetland activity. We're not looking at any deposition or removal of material from the wetland area. We're not modifying the natural channel or dynamics of the water course. We're not diminishing the capacity of the wetland to provide wetland functions or to support any type of the habitat that it presently exists. Where the sedimentation and erosion control is addressing the potential for turbidity, sedimentation, and siltation. We're not increasing or resulting in the activities would not result in the pollution of a wetland or water course. For example, engineering components are in place. We're not diminishing the flow of the water course or modifying the wetland hydrology. No damage or impairment to a unique wetland or water course here. We have pretty standard features in this particular site, and we're not looking at adverse impacts to the overall functionality of these features. Again, between the two features actually is an upland area. It's about 0.20 acre of thin upland woodland. There's a small stone wall that bounds the eastern edge of the wetland. All of that will remain as kind of a natural corridor. And again, the connectivity between the two parcels would be achieved through the sidewalk on South Road, which is obviously a lovely community amenity. I'm going to turn it to Tim, but in my professional opinion, the proposed project does not result in an impact or effect on the physical characteristics of these resources. And I've been pleased to answer any questions of the commission. It's always great to be before you in Farmington. Thanks so much.
That's what we have, Mr. Chairman. Happy to answer your questions.
Okay, thank you. Mark, let's start with you.
No questions at this time, but I would believe a site walk would be in order. I know we've been to the site, but it wouldn't be bad to go back and review the area. That's all.
Neil?
No questions at this time. I'm just curious on the sidewalk. It's just a minor question. It doesn't show on the plan a connection, I don't believe. So is additional work going to be done in front of the firehouse?
That is accurate. So for the initial wetland submission, that work had not been done. We do not have a survey in that vicinity, but the goal is, and what we had submitted from a planning and zoning standpoint, that was the only difference in those plans. Is the goal is we're going to engage with the fire department, work with them to provide that sidewalk. We have a traffic consultant looking at those crossing locations for sight lines. So that will be the intent.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And Jeff, that's flat pavement there at the moment, right?
Correct. So there's a lawn area in front of the firehouse, and then there's a large opening for their driveway, but it's relatively flat in that area from a topography standpoint.
Yeah, thank you.
Robert?
No questions, but I concur we should do another site walk.
Dave?
Yeah, I agree with the site walk. And I'd like to hear a little bit more about the stormwater system. Like where does the roof runoff go, and the paved areas as opposed to the pervious parking? And,
yep.
You know, how that's treated and where it goes.
I can walk you through in detail. So on the west side of the site for building A, and if Bruce can zoom in there. So basically we have a depression in the front on the north side of those parking stalls. That's handling the roof water. So the roof water is coming out the northwest corner of the building, going to that depression. And then there's a high level overflow that then takes it out to the rear of the site. So we're treating water quality through that area. The remainder of the parking lot goes down to that porous pavement area. And then what's shown in there's an actual pipe, perforated pipe that connects at the base of the pervious pavement that goes into an underground water quality infiltration basin in that location, before ultimately discharging, both of which discharge through a level spreader at the rear. And then that basically matches and mimics the existing drainage patterns that go to the rear of the site now. So right where that level spreader is, just off the property line, that's maybe 5 feet from where that existing swale begins and then runs down to that channel. So we've just looked to basically match existing flows for all the design storm events in that location. And then one of the unique things that we did in coordinating with the wetland scientists in the front of the building here, one of the things we added, and it doesn't show great on this plan, but between the building and the sidewalk in the right of way, we actually have a water quality infiltration basin. Even further left, it extends basically the length of the building in the front there.
Oh, here?
Right in there, correct. So there's a small water quality swale that's hydraulically connected to a small rain garden just to the north of the amenity space, right in there, and then ultimately discharging through a flared end section prior to that wetland area. And it's about 35 feet off of the edge of that wetland where the actual discharge point is. So that's building A. And then on building B, we basically have a small infiltration trench, which is shown in our grading plan in front of the building. Similar to that, it's just not shown on this exhibit because it's just the site plan, but there's a small infiltration trench here that ultimately goes and treats water quality just for the small amount of water that's landing in the front there. Roof water is heading to the east into an underground detention system, which you could see dashed in black through the parking area there, before ultimately discharging out to a level spreader. And similarly to building A, the porous pavement here also has a pipe for water that's getting down there, and then that goes back into the underground as well for additional water quality opportunities. So we're in excess of what's recommended by the 2004 water quality manual for the 1 inch and the MS4 permit. and feel as though this is a, you know, it's a plan that's consistent with all those regulations. And then the other thing I didn't mention was that level spreader, just like on the other side, it's about 5 to 10 feet off of that existing swale that then goes to the west to that channel. So really what's out there today, overland flows back to that channel now, and we're just putting it through that level spreader after treating it, whereas now it just sheet flows off untreated across the property.
Very good. Thank you. Great explanation.
You're welcome.
Bobby?
No questions. Great job.
Thank you.
Rich?
I'm a little bit unclear as to where the clearing limits would fall. Is that basically at the line between the green or the other shade of green and the gray area?
That is correct. So our grading limits are basically where the shading goes. So on the building A side on the left, you can see where the green hatch stops is basically our grading limits now. And that was again to get the flared end section in. We've respected that wetland on the, you know, the overland wetland there, the forested wetland as Megan referred to it. And I think ultimately incorporating that rain garden just to the north of the amenity space. And then it's hard to see in this image, but between the edge of our development and the edge of the amenity space, there's that same New England wildflower conservation seed mix that we're planting back in there. And then I know we were going to remove any invasive species that were within that vicinity as well to help further bolster the native plants that are out there today.
Thank you. Could you describe the tree canopy that surrounds these two, the swale and that wetland area?
Yep. It's relatively high. I took a walk yesterday. I know Megan can probably speak to it a bit more. I had just walked it yesterday. In the vicinity of that, it is pretty high. There is some underbrush, but Megan, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that from your walk.
Sure. I mean, it's definitely, you characterize, I mean, the wetland area, you'd consider it to be a forested wetland. There's some red maple trees, pin oak. As you move to the west, it's oak dominated, some hickory. The western side does not have as much underbrush. If you move to the east, there is a much more of a scrubby, just a shrub layer on that side of that parcel, I should say. But it is, it's definitely wooded with a variety of species, upland and in the uplands and wetland oak hickory in the upland and maple pin oak in the wetland area.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll have to take a site walk to look at it, but it seems that we're clearing trees awfully close to that wetland area. We'll have to see what effect that might have on the canopy. That's all I have. Thank you.
I think, Megan, you were talking earlier that across the street to the north of the property, it's two 36-inch pipes. Is that correct, that are draining into this area?
That's right. It's twin 36-inch pipes convey water beneath South Road.
And so it looks like there are some proposed riprap there to stabilize any water coming through there. And then it's a drainage swale that was there. So the piping wasn't extended through the property. Is that correct?
That's how it appears that it was engineered. I was looking back through aerials today. I didn't go, I mean, it's present in the 80s. But it does look, it's definitely an engineered, its origin appears to be an engineered feature, just given its character. But
just to clarify I was going to clarify that the riprap shown there that looks rather dark, that's actually on the existing survey. There's just a small portion of that where we're connecting in a flared end section that we would just be replacing in kind, basically. But all of that black riprap you see is not our proposed work as part of this application. That's technically on our survey right now.
Okay, but it's just an existing drainage swale, correct? You're not
Correct.
proposing any piping or anything along those lines?
Not,
And-
we're not covering the open channel, correct? That 135 feet of channel, 110 on the site will remain open.
And there's a level spreader at the end of it?
It's actually another head wall, twin 36 inches. It actually,
Okay.
there's another 12 inch actually, interestingly, to the west, 3 pipes that then convey water beneath 84.
Correct.
The 84 connector there. And then it's piped through the, underneath 84 connector, underneath the median, and then daylights in the clover leaf. You can see it is on the second, just at the southern end of 84. You can see it.
And based on the proposed development, the same water that's getting through there right now, the 2 36-inch pipes and the 12-inch pipe that goes under 84, we've reduced those peak flow rates that are currently getting there now, so that stormwater conveyance channel will continue to function as it does today, even after our proposed development's built.
Thank you. Can you give me just sort of a quick highlight as to the level spreaders and how they're proposed to be constructed? It's probably in the details, but I haven't seen the detail sheet.
Yep. Yeah, I believe they vary in length. I know both of these are probably very similar. I think they were about 15 feet in length, 18 inches wide, consisting of a modified riprap. I think it's a 2-inch stone, I believe. But I will double check the detail. We did include one, and basically what I didn't tell you guys earlier as part of our stormwater management plan, we did include an operations and maintenance manual, given we were able to fit so many different types of best management practices here. So that operations and maintenance manual, albeit can get buried in our drainage report, it's one of the appendices. And we have maintenance measures for each of these BMPs, being the rain garden, the level spreaders, the porous pavement, the infiltration basin. So all that will also be included, but.
Oh, sorry. I had a mute because I've got the fire engines going on behind me and I didn't know if it'd be blocking everybody else out from hearing.
No worries.
The water flow going to the level spreaders, like what's the maximum flow rate there?
That you'd have to give me a minute here to pull up. Give me 1 second. Let's see if I could find these. Relatively minimal because of the fact that we are retaining water within the undergrounds, but I'd have to get you that number. I'm just flipping through our drainage report now. EP1, because it varies from storm event to storm event too. So it all shows up in the, we have a couple different tables within the body of our drainage report that spells that out. But relatively low, given we're mitigating the flows from the outlet control structure just prior to that level spreader. If you head up that conveyance pipe from the level spreader, there's an outlet control structure basically that we're holding back all of those flow rates.
Okay, thank you. Shannon, I have a question for you, a technical one. Because my understanding is there could conceivably be some time constraints here. And I know that a number of people are talking about a potential site walk, which we wouldn't really be able to go back and make a decision until the next meeting, which I think is the 5th of October.
Yes, sir.
And if it was determined at that point in time, we were looking at this as a significant activity, or the commission felt as though it would be important to do a public hearing on this, what would the earliest date be that we could do the hearing? Would we be able to do something on like was it the 19th?
So this is Shannon Rutherford, the town planner. We have looked at that, Mr. Chair. And Attorney Hollister, you can feel free to chime in. I think we've talked at this at length with the applicant. If the determination is not made until the first meeting in October, then the hearing would have to wait and open in November. So I think, and certainly the applicant can chime in here, if there's a thought that the commission may want a hearing, I believe it's the applicant's thought at this time is to, sorry, I'm in the same area you are, Bob. Now we got helicopters coming in. I'm sorry, folks.
Well, they're
Between
over
the
me
fire
too, so
engines
don't
and the
feel bad.
helicopters, we've got quite a lot going on in this quadrant of town this evening. I apologize. But I believe the intent is to perhaps have the commission consider whether they think a public hearing is warranted this evening, so that from a cycling standpoint, it would then allow the hearing to start at the second meeting in October. As you recall, we've used that at times if we feel that perhaps it's needed for public interest.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I'm raising the issue, because I know that there are people that are talking about a site walk.
Yep.
And we may or may not consider this to be a significant activity, but I believe that there's a little bit of a time constraint.
Correct.
Various reasons.
Correct.
So that's why I'm just raising the issue as to whether or not to be on the safe side. Do we go ahead and schedule a public hearing at this point in time, which would be what, the second meeting in October?
Correct.
And then at least we still do the site walk, so we have a better understanding of what's being proposed on the property and not delay it an additional 2 weeks.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Hollister, you may have something you want to add on that?
Yes, and I think you've read the applicant's collective mind correctly. We would much rather be safe than sorry. And the time constraint, no secret about this. The major issue is that the applicant is going to be competing for state funding. And there's a deadline coming up in, I believe, early January. So we'd like to hopefully be done with all our local permitting by then. So we are absolutely fine with the idea of conducting the sidewalk and then proceeding after tonight to a public hearing on the 19th. And hopefully, based on what we've seen tonight, that we can get through that proceeding fairly quickly. So we're fine with that. Thank you.
Yeah, again, I wanted to bring that up because again, I know that there was a timing issue associated with it. So let me go back to commission members and see what your take might be on it. So Mark, we'll start with you.
My take about whether this should need a public meeting.
Yeah, public hearing or not.
Hearing, yeah. Each development, we've seen this before. I believe the last time we had this property reviewed, I don't believe we had a public hearing, but each proposal needs to be looked at it differently. So I don't know enough at this point to say whether it should have one or not. That's all.
Okay, Neil?
Yeah, I agree. I can't just determine at this point, based on the information presented, whether the hearing is justified or warranted. I understand the applicant's time constraints, but I don't feel we can rush our process unless we feel it's warranted.
Okay, thank you. Robert?
Yeah, I mean, I would lean towards it is not a significant activity, but I understand what the time constraints are. Our regulations don't preclude us from holding a hearing. So for scheduling purposes, I would advocate that we do the site walk and concurrently schedule a hearing for the 19th. If the outcome of our site walk and other information received is that the impacts are not significant, we could have the hearing on the 19th, we'd close the hearing on the 19th, and we could still render a decision if it was that straightforward, or render a decision soon thereafter. So I think I would just proceed with scheduling a hearing for the 19th.
Okay, thank you. Dave?
I would agree with Robert. Just schedule just in case. And if we see something on the sidewalk, we'll be set. And if not, the hearing will be short and easy.
Okay, thank you. Bobby?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Robert, Dave. Let's get it scheduled just in case and go from there.
Thank you. Rich?
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, so it sounds like the majority of folks think it may be best to go ahead and schedule the public hearing for October 19th. So Shannon, we just need a motion to schedule the public hearing.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so can I get a motion that we schedule a public hearing on this for October 19th? I think that gives everybody
We have to accept the application too.
time to go ahead and get the notices in the paper. It gives us time to go out and actually take a look at the site. We'll have a better understanding of what's there and see how the public hearing goes.
So moved by Eisner.
Is there a second?
Second by Mark.
Who was the second? Bobby?
Yeah, I'll second.
All right.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to schedule a public hearing for this application on October 19th. But actually, do I need to accept the application first?
We usually do.
Yep. You should accept the application.
So moved by Eisner.
So, okay, is there a second to accept the application?
Dave will second that one.
Second, Mark.
Okay, have a motion to accept the application. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Okay, then we have a motion to schedule the public hearing for October 19th, 7 o'clock. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. So hopefully that at least helps with the processing. So,
Thank you.
And we'll schedule the site walk too, Chair. Do you want to do that
Sure.
now?
sure.
Keep it going. I mean, we could either do Saturdays or Sundays with everybody. I'm either looking at the 24th or 25th or the 1st or the 2nd. Like, I can't do the 2nd, so probably the 1st
I will not be here on the 1st or the 2nd.
or the 2nd, so that's out. So it's either going to be Saturday, the 24th or Sunday, the 25th. What's the group feel? Any bad dates?
I can't do the 24th or the 1st or 2nd, so I guess it's 25th for me.
24 or 25 is okay with Dave.
I can do the 25th.
All right. 8 o'clock, fine with everybody?
Yes.
6
Works for
o'clock.
me.
8 a.m. All right. What we'll do is put it down. If anyone has any problems afterwards, just shoot me an email and we'll try to readjust it. But we'll plan on doing October 25th at 8 o'clock. All right.
Yeah, this is Neil. I won't be able to make it, but don't, go ahead with it.
September 25th?
Sorry. Did I say October? September. Thank you. Christmas is coming soon too.
There's only 92 days left.
Oh, God. Thank you for
So
counting.
already counting, huh?
All right.
Okay. So I think that takes care of this particular issue. So I think we're good there.
Okay, thank you and good night.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody. I'll see you guys too. All right.
Planners report.
Planners report. I think, Sigrid, are you on? She was on earlier. I'll bring Stanley's on. The owner of the property is on. Let me bring him over as well. Sigrid was there. She's there. She's on, but she's not answering.
And I just had to unmute.
Oh,
I
okay,
am
you're
here.
good. All right, hold on. All right, let me grab your information. We'll bring that in. Okay, this is regarding the 1175 Farmington Avenue parcel. Segrin, or not Segrin, but George Logan and Shannon had gone out on September 2nd to do a walkthrough. So Sigrid, if you just want to give everyone a little update.
No, I went out on September 2nd
Oh,
and they
you
went
did?
out. They went out in in August.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Previous
August.
week, yeah.
That's right. I apologize. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so you've all gotten the report. With the wetland creation area, area A, was doing very well. It had gone down. The water level certainly had gone down compared to the spring and the winter. The upper terrace was no longer flooded. It was saturated, and it had a variety of emergents that can also tolerate saturation. A lot of alisma and soft stem bulrush and Eleochris, and there were what was the hydrology of the whole area needs to be looked at when you do a major alteration like an excavation like that in a wetland. And I was pleased to see that the trees in the wooded strip between the creation area and the restoration area looked very healthy and vigorous. They had good growth. Actually, they looked a lot better than some of the trees further to the east, next to the area that they're hoping to refill. Those looked at drought stressed, and it looks like the water from the creation area is seeping into the ground and then into the roots of those trees, and also nourishing the wet meadow vegetation that's on the perimeter of the creation area, which had a lot of wetland goldenrod and assorted grasses, and that we'd transplanted the wet meadow topsoil that was and put it back in those areas after the grading, and that did work. The diversity is not great, and so when we go back and do some reseeding this fall, we're going to put some more wet mix in to get maybe some additional wildflower species and more sedge varieties, and but the coverage is very good. The health of the plants is good, and there's one clump of knotweed, maybe 2 meters square, that we'd noticed in the spring, and then two much smaller incipient patches over on the east side, and those should be dug out when we come back in the fall. Now, moving to the restoration area, the east side of the swale is just fabulous. A lot of different, you can see in the picture, the cover picture of the photo record that you've got there. There's a lot of helenium and
We lost your microphone.
I didn't need to go into the detail, but there's good herbaceous diversity, and also some big seeded species like bidens and polygonums that are good for birds. But it's like the first 150 feet is great. There's much less diversity further west, and I think it's just basically that the seeds tend to wash down, that there's a gentle gradient towards the east, and so more seeds ended up at that end than at the top end. So we will be putting some more seeds in the west end, and for the survival of this good survival of the plantings. The bayberry did great. The gray birches did great. The box elders are great. There were a couple of species that did not do very well. The blueberries are not thriving at all, and also the there's a rare plant that we tried out because it does like dry sites. It's the New Jersey tea, and there's a reason that it's rare. I think both the blueberry and the New Jersey tea have specialized requirements for symbiotic mycorrhizae, and I'm afraid the soils in this area don't have what they need. So some of them, they're alive, but they're just not growing very well. And I don't think it's any fault of they're not smothered or strangled, but it's just the if you plant a lot of different species, some of them will do very well and others less, and that you kind of spread your bets with planting a lot to start with. And on the upland restoration, which I guess you're interested in just because it's part of the landscape setting, even though it's not technically wetlands. It's interesting. There's a layer and basically two different layers. There's young grasses, a variety of them, reasonable cover, maybe 6 to 8 or 10 inches tall below. And then there's a high layer of tall rank weeds, horseweed and ragweed. And then one of the plants in the wildflower mix, which seems to have done excessively well. It's a legume, Senna hebecasa. And there's only a little bit of mugwort, maybe every 20 foot by 20 foot area might have one small plant. And we have recommended to the property owner that they mow right away so that the mugwort can be mowed down before its seeds are ripe, so that there won't be spreading of seed when it's cut. And also so that all those grasses below will have a month and a half to grow in the fall growing season. They've been kind of shaded out by the tall weeds. Now, I've been thinking about the tall weeds. I did call the ag station, and my experience, I did grow up on a farm, and I've done a number of mitigation sites. These weeds seem to be in the first year when there's more available nutrients. They really grow tall and rank and thick, but they tend to be smaller and less significant in successive years. And I think that's what I would hope and expect would be happening. And you can see them in the photo record. I mean, horsewood, neither of them are invasives. They're both natives. They're just tall annual agricultural weeds that were obviously in the topsoil that was spread. I don't know where the topsoil originally came from. It probably came from a fallow farm that hadn't been farmed for a couple of years, and the weeds had gotten out of hand. But it's not like mugwort or some of the others we've been dealing with, some of the perennial invasives. It's if you look at the field, it looks like a sea of weeds, but there are the grasses beneath, and they're blue-green grasses that it's hard to identify without seed stems or flowers or anything, but they do look like little blue stem as well as other species. And we're ready to seed the access road to the excavated wetland. There's a picture of that in the photo record. And we looked, we did not notice there wasn't any water left in the pockets of wetland water, wet areas to the east of the restoration area. And I actually didn't look at that area. George did, and it's his opinion that that they're temporarily flooded and not supporting green frog populations, long-standing green frog populations, or other other invertebrate wetland species. So I guess he's recommending that you give the go-ahead to fill that section and turn it into it's now extremely rutted and variable in topography, but that they add some additional fill and grade it. And I'm also, I wanted to mention that there's a swale to the west of the restoration, the official restoration area, the delineated one, which had a large variety of sedges in it and also a fair amount of mugwort and whatever. And that area should be mowed as well as the field. And hopefully some of the seeds of those sedges will wash down into the wetland restoration area. But we shouldn't delay, and this also goes for the town. If you have roadside mugwort, if you mow it this week, there will be negligible germination of the seeds that are on the plants. If you wait if you wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you'll actually be spreading seeds when you cut the mugwort down. So timing is of the essence in terms of this this new scary meadow invasive that's taking over goldenrod fields and roadsides, and it's such a problem. But there's not that much of it in the restoration area. The cover of it is less than 2%, and I think we've done a good job so far. We had a number of pulling sessions and also the brush hogging, the York raking pulled out the rhizomes. There's the control plot, which is interesting because it shows that there's certain wildflowers and herbs that are in that control plot and doing well, and they're not in the rest of the field. They obviously didn't like being covered by topsoil, and there are other ones that are the other things that are but there's more mugwort and there's more of the woody shrubs. I think the knotweed was probably, it's just too dry basically in the sandy area except right next to the wetlands for the knotweed to thrive, and whatever knotweed came up is stunted and yellow and not going anywhere in the control plots. So anybody have any more questions? We're going if you've read the report, you may have some questions.
Got Bob, you on?
So I'm ready to answer questions if anybody has some.
I guess, Rich, we'll start with you. Any questions, comments?
No, no questions. Thank you.
Bobby?
I'm good, thank you.
Dave?
No questions.
Robert?
No questions. Thanks for the report.
You're welcome.
Neil?
No questions.
Mark?
No questions. It's good to see things are growing that they need to be taken care of and cut back because they're thriving. That's all.
Okay.
I have no questions either.
All right, so I guess the other thing is in general, so they're gonna be mowing out the mugwort
Right,
soon.
mowing very soon. The tall weeds in the mugwort, and then the grass can have the benefit of sun for the rest of the early fall.
The applicant's asking to fill in those areas alongside the roadway, or that access
right.
roadway.
That's right.
And I guess I'm just looking for going forward of reports. So maybe we do one more before the fall time, I'm thinking.
Well, it is fall now.
Well, sorry,
So
I guess.
should we do a report and after we've done the mowing and the supplemental seeding?
Yeah, late fall, early winter before things go dormant, and then just hit it back in the spring again. Does that sound like a plan for everybody else?
Sounds good.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sigrid.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Bruce?
Nope, I'm all set with that. Sorry. I'm all set with just making my notes as we're drawing here. Just gotta accept the minutes and we'll move on to the conservation.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of September 7th, 2022 Inland Wetlands meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Rich, I'll second.
Second, Mark.
Okay. A motion to approve the minutes of Inland Wetland meeting minutes of September 7th, 2022. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. So be it. I have like 8:46, so close the Inland Wetlands portion of the meeting and open the Conservation Commission agenda. So it's called to order. Any other business, Bruce, or planners report on this?
Nope, I don't have anything either.
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the minutes of September 7th, 2022 for the Conservation Commission meeting?
So moved by Eisner.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Have a motion to approve the minutes of September 7th, 2022 Conservation Commission meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. So I guess we're done for this evening.
Okay.
For good or bad, you guys may have to put up with me for another 4 years because I was reappointed to the commission. So we'll be back next month. So, and I think Ned was also reappointed.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have a full commission going forward, which is very pleasant news. So, okay, I think that does it for tonight. So we have the hearing scheduled on the 19th for the project on South Road. Other than that, we'll see what kind of surprises Bruce can provide for the next meeting.
Thank you, sir. Have a great night.
Okay, everybody have a good one. Be safe. And I guess what we have the site walk on the 25th of September.
I just wrote it down. Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So we'll
Okay.
see some of the folks there.
All right. See you then.
Okay, have a good one. Good night, everybody. Be safe.
Good night.
I know.